I sometimes feel that the comparison perhaps is not fair because I think each individual doing this sort of thing does it in his own individual way. However, her work is similar to his in the effect that she does do physical diagnostic work and light readings as Mr. Casey did, and many of the other things that Mr. Casey did. The material which comes from Zoe appears, to the best of my knowledge, to be quite similar in content to Mr. Casey's in the fact that fundamentally it's the same thing. The wording, of course, is quite different, but fundamentally it's about the same thing. So I think the comparison is a reasonably fair one. The word samadhi is a word that Zoe has given through one of her readings or studies, or whatever word you call it, as being the state that she utilizes when she is in the sleeping state. She calls it samadhi, which is an Indian word. Apparently there are 4 stages of samadhi. The stage that Zoe uses is the third of the 4. The 4th stage is a cataleptic state, in which the physical body is completely severed from the mental and spiritual body. This, of course, would be death. While Zoe is sleeping, quote, you'll notice that her body doesn't move at all. At times she frowns or smiles, or, of course, her mouth moves as she talks, but her body remains completely still. It doesn't move at all. This, as far as I know, we have no explanation of why this is the state. But we have been told that when Zoe enters the samadhi state, she completely disassociates herself from her physical body, from her conscious mind, and that, of course, would probably account for the reason that the physical but as far as the circulation slows down considerably. There are other bodily functions slow down considerably. You'll notice when I ask her to wake up that I always indicate that she awakened with the circulation working normally and the other bodily functions working normally. Her body usually gets, or at least she feels, gets cold. The reason for this, of course, is because the circulation has slowed down so considerably. She, for that reason, usually puts a blanket over her body. Whether she will or not tonight, I don't know yet. Those of you who can see her will notice that her right hand is usually held like this, with the thumb and forefinger together, and the left hand is always held like this. We asked her one time why she did this, and she said because the energies go in the left hand and come out the right, and when I close the fingers, I'm then self-contained. So you can interpret that in any way you wish. I don't know. Many times people ask us if Zoe has a guide or a monitor or whatever from the so-called spirit world. Zoe's answer has always been no. I see none, and such is not necessary. This, of course, has led to considerable amount of controversy on the part of some of our friends. But we believe that Zoe, through an extension of her own 5 senses, reaches this state from which she is able to answer various questions that are asked of her. She may at times have a guide, I don't know. I just don't know anything about these things, and I, at this point, in my limited understanding, prefer to accept the answer that is given in samadhi. We have been involved in this particular work now for only 4 years. We realize that on a conscious level, at least, we have a great deal to learn. We don't always fully understand the connotations of some of the things that Zoe says and some of the information that comes through. About 4 years ago, I think, I see some old friends here, but they can bear with me for a minute. About 4 years ago, we discovered through the use of hypnosis that Zoe possessed this ability. She had on a particular evening gone to a private meeting at a civic association in a nearby town where we live in North Delaware, at which place a professional hypnotist was going to demonstrate hypnosis. During the course of the evening, and Zoe was there alone, he attempted to hypnotize the entire audience, and the rest is history. About an hour later, Zoe woke up and she was on the stage and had been the star performer with complete amnesia. Of course, it was quite a shock because she had admitted that where she was from and everyone in the audience knew that she was supposed to be there. And it's kind of embarrassing, but it's funny. So shortly after this, we became quite interested in the Friday Murphy phenomenon. The story appeared in two magazines about this time, and they talked about Friday, who allegedly had their experiences in various incarnations, which meant absolutely nothing to us. But we heard of a group in Wilmington, Delaware, near us, who were studying this type of thing. And so we called them and invited ourselves to join in on their activities, and soon discovered that Zoe allegedly was able to tell us of past incarnations to the extent that she could speak in German, fluent German, and play the piano. On the conscious level, she doesn't play the piano, she doesn't play any instrument except the guitar, which she doesn't play very well. And certainly she doesn't speak German. Now, some psychologists tell us that at some time during an individual's life, possibly in the early years of his life, from ages 1 to 5 or 6, he sort of soaks up everything that is said and goes on around him, that he can be in the vicinity of people speaking another language and will pick up a workable knowledge of the language. This might very well be, but to the best of the extent of our research, we have not found an occasion in Zoe's life when she could have done this. So the explanations or the answers, I guess, up to the individual. We ourselves have our own beliefs, as everyone does, but we don't think that we should get out in public and say to people that they should believe as we do, that we have the answers, because we realize that we have a great deal to learn, and I'm sure that there are many people here who know much more than we do. So the best we can do is to simply show you how this thing, whatever it is, works with Zoe. I have to, I suppose, talk a little bit about our organization in hopes that I might remember. This is usually done, I think, by guest speakers. We do have an organization which is called Parastudy. It's called Parastudy. It is an organization which is not centered around Zoe's work. We feel that sometimes other organizations have made the mistake of centering themselves around a specific line of thinking or field of thought, to the extent of all other ideas and theories, and sometimes become cults because of this. We hope and pray that this will not ever happen with us, when in fact we're quite reluctant, really, to advertise our names at all, to realize that in some respects, according to our work, that this is necessary. So we do have an organization called Parastudy, which we hope to interest people in. The organization studies all phenomena, all things which are unusual. It emphasizes research into ESP and science, of course, compared to religion and so forth, or even anything in blind sorcery. Membership in Parastudy is $3 a year. The members of the organization are able to participate in ESP experiments from time to time. They're eligible to use our lending library, which at the present time contains about 800 books, which is growing quickly. We have a Zoe Mimeograph newsletter, which we publish every other month, and at this point, that's about the extent of the activities we have at home in New York, Delaware, monthly meetings, and many group meetings, of course. In addition to this, we have an amateur magazine called Is, which is published on a voluntary contribution basis, and I have a few sample copies downstairs which you can help yourself to. We don't have a subscription rate yet because our circulation is not large enough, but $1 or $2 would be fine, and we send you the magazine. We have also a research foundation which is centered around Zoe's work. Now, the reason for this being that it affords legal protection, and we retain the ownership of the material which we receive, which is quite necessary, as you all know, I'm sure. Persons who are interested in receiving their own individual reading can do so simply by asking for one, and by becoming a member of Parastudy. And if they're asking for a physical diagnosis, they would have to have the permission of their own particular doctor, so that the doctor can work with the reading and with the individual, and also, and quite importantly, so that we will be protected too. Persons who are interested in sponsoring our foundation can do so at $20 a year. And for the sponsorship, if they wish, of course, they can receive a reading. If persons are not interested in the foundation and don't have $20, we don't charge for the reading, so they just simply go on another waiting list, which I will have to admit is quite a long one, And I don't know how long it would be before you got a reading under those circumstances, but you certainly could. That's about the extent of our business side of our work. So that I will mention briefly that up until January 1st of this year, Zoe has had to work 6 days a week. We have 3 small children, one of whom is in school yet, the others are in first and second grade. We have the usual obligations at home. We have the magazine and parasite and all. We've been quite busy, and because of this, the list of persons waiting for readings grew and grew and grew, and the stack of letters waiting to be answered grew and grew until there were about 400 of them just sitting there now waiting to be answered, and no help. But on January 1st of this year, Zoe was able to resign from her 6-day-a-week job, and now we are doing readings every day, which we think will help a great deal in removing some of the names from our long waiting list. Before I ask Zoe to come over, I wonder if any of you have questions that you'd like to ask me about our work or about Samadhi, if I can try to answer them. I'd be very happy to hear them. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask? Yes,
Any questions, whether it's personal or anything like that, would be like some of the Casey would have had, whether you answer questions about it, past life or friends, future in any way.
yes, I think it's just about the same thing. Oh, yes. Most of our readings are that individual readings.
How about the questions about the paper that we supposed to get that later?
I
didn't get it myself.
About what?
Questions to write down and think it's something.
Oh, I think one of the ladies downstairs collected questions at the door. If anyone has questions which tie in with the work this evening, I think perhaps Mrs. Winder here would collect them. Please raise your hand. That gentleman, okay.
Do you all believe in the comic law?
Does he believe in what?
Comic law.
Comic law. Our organization doesn't believe in anything. It investigates everything. A person belonging to parasite can believe everything that we wish to. That's entirely up to him. As an individual, I believe in him, but the organization doesn't have any. I should say the organization has one belief, and that is brotherhood. Reincarnation appears in Zoe's readings constantly. And I think most of the people in parasite accept it. Most of them, not all, certainly. Most of them do. Yes, ma'am.
Where do you have these readings?
Wherever we happen to be. Most usually at home. And our home because we work everywhere.
You would have to, in New York, you would have to go to your home.
Oh, no. Zoe is able to do readings on an individual anywhere in the world. And they don't have to be present. They can be anywhere. And then we mail a typewritten copy of the reading, and of course if the person getting an individual reading would like to have a tape recording, he can supply us with the tape and we would send the tape back to him. But otherwise everyone gets the typewritten copy of their particular reading. Thank you. Anyone else have questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have heard that there are, is it 4 or 5 different types of readings?
There.
Could you enumerate them for me?
Yes, I would be very happy to. I would say perhaps there are 7 different kinds. For example, physical readings, shows without saying. Readings of past incarnations, which some people are interested in, which perhaps would show the incarnations of a given individual in chronological order, beginning at a point running up to and including the present. And then certainly one of the more important ones, this lady over here, gentleman, would be a reading showing karmic influences from past incarnations manifested in the present. Then we have we're reading on, for example, the type of work that's suited for an individual. For example, if a high school boy came and said, I don't know what I want to do with my life, we would do a study for him, which would show the things that he would be most apt to be able to succeed at. That sort of thing, vocational guidance, I suppose we call that. And certainly mental body studies, which would have to do with persons who are aberrated in one way or another, or children who are aberrated or something of that nature. Actually, the list of possible types of readings is quite lengthy. We tried to narrow it down to 7. Did I mention 7? 5. Oh, then there's one call which I think is probably appeal to a limited number of people, but there's a brief reading, doesn't take very long, in which Zoe gives the so-called soul credentials of an individual. These allegedly show to what point of spiritual evolvement that person has reached in the present life. These are usually symbolic, so this is the symbology of those that appeal to. I think that's all of them. Yes, sir.
Your past incarnation by
So,
tell your past reincarnation by reading the Akashic records.
you would probably, if you're a theosophist, I think the answer would be yes for you. I think it depends upon the interpretation of the Akashic records. But I would say yes, that's what it is, the word gave it that name. Stream of light. I mean, there's lots of different names to be called. We believe that everything that's ever been done has been said or will be done or will be said. It is. It's here and now. It's just a question of extracting from that all over.
May I ask, you mentioned 4 levels of samadhi. Can you tell us something about the other 2?
I can't really. Maybe we can get into that tonight. I think more about it than that. I have a personal feeling or belief, and I'm probably quite wrong to say as I am, that samadhi might be analogous to hypnosis. So that's my own question, and I'm going to find out tonight. But some people call it self-hypnosis, and it might well be because she lies down and she goes into a self-induced state, trance, whatever you want to call it. So it might be just going to be self-hypnosis, we find out. Yes, ma'am. It would be possible to come to our home, yes. Yes. Yes.
I've heard it mentioned several different ways.
The group gathered here this evening is interested in information concerning samadhi. We are particularly interested in 1, what is it? 2, its function and correlations. 3, its place in Christian religion. 4, its universality. Please gather advice and information concerning the subject under consideration. And when you have gathered the information, then please present it.
There is much misunderstanding relating to the powers of the individual to use and extend different levels of his own consciousness. Much of this is the result of individual interpretation of word symbology. For words are symbols and present to each their own state of reference within the realm of their particular understanding, based on the limit or the extension of their knowledge. Such misunderstanding is afforded the words which will be used tonight to describe different states of being in consciousness. We choose the word samadhi because in Eastern thinking, the meanings are more specifically embedded within this word symbology. Even there, you will find differences of opinion on the number or degree of the states of its application. Again, results of lack of experience difficulty in drawing a line between one degree and another. It being a feeling an emotion and a spiritual experience which is impossible to express accurately to another who has not also had the same experience of self or in close knowledge of another through observation and comparison. With statistics and knowledge gained from these experiences. It has been likened to many different states of psychic achievement through the use of various word symbology. One saying that it is hypnosis, another saying that it is trance, another saying it is Christ consciousness, another perhaps union with God. This terminology is used to try to portray more that which is seen and observed from a physical level than that which is actually achieved. In preparing to experience a state of samadhi, it is necessary to secure the cooperation of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual bodies. For this complete attunement, comfort in the physical body is necessary. Complete relaxation so that no disturbance distracts the amount of effort needed to apply the next step, which is fixation upon the goal one wishes to obtain. The mind, the conscious mind, cannot be permitted to wander, for that gathered would be a complexity of physical, mental, rarely if ever, spiritual experience. So we must have relaxation, fixation, and once the goal has been set, concentration of such an intense nature that the physical realm is excluded from this area, which permits the mental and the spiritual to become all, to magnify the finest, or to what is known as some as the microcosm, to extend all, or become all, in reference or relation to the macrocosm. Mind is not limited when this degree of concentration breaks through the physical boundaries or limitations. You will find these steps necessary in samadhi, rather in order to achieve samadhi. You will find the same principle at work in hypnosis. You will find the same principle necessary to achieve a successful degree of meditation and even prayer. Though in the Western world, prayer is not understood by the majority in the immensity of its use and its application, and has rather been misused by misunderstanding the nature of prayer, the participation of self in relation to the universal consciousness, or God, or the Christ, or Christus. In the first experience, we will not attempt to draw lines of demarcation here. One will find an increased consciousness of the physical body by thinking in terms of relaxing each and every part of it. one gradually becomes aware of the vibratory nature of man, matter, and the entire universe about him as he becomes more adapted to entering into these new or newly experienced states of consciousness. Upon achieving or recognizing that the physical body is perfectly at ease, no longer requiring conscious cognition of it, the fixation transfers all thought from the physical to the mental body, and the mental body ignores the presence of the physical. All that is important is the thought, the word, the goal of understanding or knowledge one has set for oneself. As this is set, and the answer is not known to the conscious mind, the energy of applying untouched or unused portions of consciousness, perhaps even unknown to exist, this force frees the mental body so that it can receive all knowledge that is present or known to the subconscious. It can reach into the realm of the superconscious, the part in tune, in touch with all, with each other entity, and with the sum total of man or universal consciousness. This freeing of consciousness from the self in many cases separates one to a degree from the physical, yet there is a connection or a tie that allows the free will or the conscious mind to command a return or a recognition or condition on the physical level in regard or relation to the entity involved in experiencing this state of being. From this level of experience, one proceeds by degrees to a going out further away from conscious cognition and is not able to retain memory of all experience on this level, though it may retain feelings of having had a profound experience, which is reflected in the physical body upon return to the conscious level of perception. Then, to the Eastern man, there is the complete and ultimate return to the source, or the universal consciousness, in which it becomes no longer necessary to regard the experience as important, but that of becoming one with all. The real purpose of conscious evolution. To this has been designated a catalytic or death-like state, and in truth, it can be willed not to return to the physical body. This has been done by those whose ultimate aim has been the return to the source. In a final expression of being one with all, or one with God. The duration of time in this state has no particular significance except from the physical level. Some time consciousness may be retained by certain parts of the mental body associated with mind and its physical level conceptions. But in the free, superconscious state, time does not exist. This state, in relation to Christian experience and Christian texts, has been before the eyes of everyone through its recorded pages and history. From the earliest Christian time, meditation or prayer or going to the Father was a part of the religious training of the disciples, the early Christian saints, and the results are recorded in many passages from the prophets and of the experiences of the disciples to show that suggestion, fixation, and concentration were used by these entities to further their mental and spiritual evolution, the attainment of full knowledge of self and union with God. In all other great religions, these same principles apply. Only the word symbology differs according to social, cultural, environmental forces affecting certain relationships, and in the electromagnetic field created by unified thought, bring forth or attract a symbology that is acceptable to that level of understanding. That which limits the unification of understanding is the limitation of the individual ego consciousness. Attaining the degree of consciousness free or extended through the steps we have outlined the wholeness, the identification of one with another can be seen and felt and experienced, bringing forth same or like results, same or like causes, creating same or like results. Underlining unquestionably the understanding of the relationship of the personality to the mental body, to the infinite spirit. That commands all, becomes all. That is all that can be said at this time.
Number of questions. May we present these questions at this time? What is the difference between samadhi and that state of mystical vision from which the, quote, message, unquote, or, quote, impression, unquote, can be brought back to objective consciousness?
The word difference lends to confusion. As we have said, one cannot draw lines that separate, because in graduating from a type of experience into another, there is a growing in or a growing out of one stage into another, whereby for that brief time one overlaps the other. When there is a complete going in to a higher level, there is greater effort to retain or bring back into objectivity that which has been experienced, and to a greater degree further, there can be no returning with objective references of experience, but with a definite impact upon the mental body and upon the physical body, which accounts for portrayal of mystics or saints blessed with visionary capacities that account for the description of glowing radiance, a walking in a light that is unlike any other light. That is all.
Such question. The next question is this. Must one always go into nothingness or complete pure darkness in order to see pure light?
We do not wish to confuse the understanding of the questioner, but to see such light it is best seen in brightest light when one is attuned to the higher vibration of consciousness. No, it is not necessary to go into darkness to see light, but it is necessary to separate the self, which is more difficult to do so in bright light. That is all.
This question I will quote directly from the paper upon which it appears. The question is this. Can one go off the deep end by becoming too spiritual or think of himself as saint-like?
Question is crudely constructed, but it is true that exceeding one's limitations, whether consciously or unconsciously, can bring about destruction of the vehicles which afford the transference of these energies from the mental and spiritual bodies to the physical body and create disturbances, both physical and mental. Yes. We liken it to an overloaded electrical circuit in the home, with the physical body representing the fuse. That is all.
Thank you. The next question is this. Is it because you, Zoe Nickerson, are a woman, because you are a woman, and women seeming to be stronger than men, is this why you are capable of doing more readings and feeling more refreshed than Mr. Edgar Casey did when he worked?
that thought or premise is limiting because of its limited conception. That automatically negates in the conscious mind of the questioner the possibility of equality in attaining these states. For the mental and the spiritual bodies are destined to return to the same source, even though polarity differs in order to have unification and balance. As to the reference made to the man named Casey, there is knowledge here of a personal nature that cannot be given at this time, for which reason strain was endured or suffered. This is understandable. There was present, and it is known so, many conflicts and confusions which contributed to the mental burden which reflected in the physical body. So,
Then are we to assume that Zoe Nickerson does not have conflicts and confusion?
there is complete sympathy and understanding of that which was the responsibility of the man we have spoken of. And though there is also a tendency or a potential here for like to occur, by example, the entity Casey has helped this entity understand cause and effect of such involvement and conflicts, and to this degree, the knowledge helps eliminate this pattern. It cannot be said with finality that this knowledge and the assurance that comes as a result of this knowledge will continue. It must not be lost sight of. As long as this is held, the increased life force freely enters. That is all.
So that, excuse me, so that there will not be misunderstanding, please explain the reference to the idea or fact that you were helped by Edgar Casey.
Under the burden of responsibility, conflict and confusion can be created in relation to the degree we are our brother's keepers, as he stated. This pattern has presented itself, and through the aura or Akashic record of this man's experience, we are able to see results of these emotional factors. Which manifest because we are human, because we are on the physical plane, to deal with physical matter, man's personality, ego, and emotional consciousness, and to overcome things. By this record, we focus or know what better attitudes or positions to take to protect ourselves from drainage and to permit a contact with a brother to renew our own without robbing the brother of his energies, except in rare cases where the individual concerned is not sufficiently aware of the amount of control we have over these matters. Not easy to explain these matters of energy that are not manifest on the physical plane except by effect. And that is all.
Thank you. The next question we have here is not clear to the conductor. I will assume that you will understand the meaning behind the following. What is the difference between spiritualism and samadhi?
There have been attracted many definitions for the word symbol spiritualism. Of the many mental bodies present, we have many interpretations of devotion to things of a spiritual nature, to experimentation with phenomena, to a participation in a relaxation, fixation, concentration, principle, in order to free subconscious and superconscious energies. We do acknowledge the latter definition of spiritualism is very much the same as samadhi. We have failed to show that in exercising these principles in meditation, samadhi, hypnosis, or spiritualism, even though this is wrongly termed, Maya, visions, lower vibrations of negative nature can come forth or through the subconscious. In samadhi, it is not questioned that there are masters, but it is understood that master consciousness, that which is evolved so highly, does not use its own soul to manifest, but influences and manifests through the soul conscious of the entity attaining that degree of union. In spiritualism, the masses conceive the master directly in his personality or ego manifestation, rather than exerting the influence through the soul mind. So the soul can conceive of the nature of the information. It is on a level more closely related to the consciousness that the symbology expresses itself in such personal, finite terms. Masters are capable of influencing not one, but many, and particularly group consciousness, group souls. That is all.
Thank you. Can you, Zoe Nickerson, see your own aura during samadhi?
Not find self here. We'll look upon returning to the conscious state.
Is that all?
only light present, no auric manifestation. No.
Thank you. The next question is this. Did Jesus Christ ever experience samadhi?
The question is, did not previously understand words as in symbology. Now it can be seen, even though it was known already by the questioner, that Jesus Christ experienced the highest form of universal consciousness, or union with the Father. That is so.
By highest form, perhaps that should be briefly clarified. What is meant by highest form?
Being in command, complete control of all essences of self and the law's existence and maintaining the nature of the universe, of being a direct channel for the flow of supreme power from the God source available to all, merely was an example of the fullest expression on the physical plane of the mental and spiritual body, functions and realities. That is all.
Thank you. The remaining questions here present do not directly concern samadhi. Shall we continue with some of these questions which are not especially directly related? Next question is this. Please compare the Subhu Lattingham with meditation as described by the Edgar Casey readings.
Sure, the question is not meant to be presented as read. Involves the same principles necessary to overcome obstacles of the physical manifestations that stand between the self and the attainment of the complete and true self or consciousness. That of relaxing, opening, rather than closing oneself away from such activities that are natural to man reaching the point of illumination, purification, which is freeing oneself from negativity, physical encumbrances, all that which keeps man from attaining to his fullest potential. Constant suggestions is given that it is possible for the probate or the actor to receive an opening, a clearing away of that which inhibits the expression of the spirit within self. Again, the same principle. It could not be different. That is all.
Thank you. The next question is this. When the state of oneness with God consciousness or union with the Father is reached, does the individual entity lose his individuality?
Creation. In all creation, no one part can be another part at the same time. There is no duplication or identical identity. There is no need for two of a same. One does not lose individuality. No two atoms are alike. One is one, the other is another. They are separate, distinguished one from the other, yet a necessary part of a whole that cannot be divided. This is difficult to see for those not fully grasping the significance of paradox in manifestation. That is all.
Thank you. It is possible, or can we expect, that a new mode of expressing ourselves could be developed with tones, so that we could then communicate with people who do not read and write, but the question is not worded well, but that this expression could be accomplished through music. Is the point of the question clear? The idea behind the question clear?
The idea is clear. There again, you have created another method that a sound manifests on the physical plane for purpose of communication. That is all right. The same goal is intended. The same principles urge and create the expression or manifestation of a new mode of communication. Here again, it will reach the identical goal, have the same purpose as all other methods of achievement, yet some will be more rapid in their achievement than others because of their utilization on a certain cycle of evolution. Another will be slower. We are looking for an analogy just a moment. On the physical plane, man, in his limited understanding, and this pertains to the general masses, eats food to maintain physical expression on this level. Some eat quickly, some eat slowly. One eats of one thing, one another, yet both are served in the same capacity by taking through this center at different speeds and at different densities and capacities, substance to further physical expression is the same with mental and spiritual evolution to attain an end goal, an end result of return to the infinite or union with the all. That is all.
Thank you. We'll ask just a few more questions, and the next one is this. Edgar Casey referred to the, quote, communism, unquote, of Christ as a salvation of mankind. As a salvation of mankind. By this did he mean brotherhood of man or a form of political socialism?
Is not concerned with political or social expression. This is the expression of brotherhood, another word symbol of truth in the union of purpose through mental and spiritual evolution. That is all.
Thank you. What can we as average people do towards assuring world peace?
Be peaceful. Do not knowingly contribute to that which is not. Do not knowingly contribute to that which is not. This frame of reference to be applied to every nook and corner of every day's being. That is all.
Thank you. As a final question, we ask for a brief definition of each of the 4 stages of samadhi.
It will not refer or define a stage, but rather express certain experiences manifest preceding a growing experience or one of increased activity, extension, expansion, and unification with all. Consciousness experiences primarily increased awareness without separating itself completely from recognition of the physical environment of that. From this, one increases awareness by intensifying concentration to the exclusion of the importance of the physical level, yet not severing completely, so that the conscience is in command or control to bring or recall consciousness to the physical level at will. Progressing even further, increased intensification of concentration finds expression or expansion more important than anything on the physical plane, and does not want to be hampered by maintaining a connection consciously to it. At this experience, the aspirant is content to let the superconscious take over, and the intensification of concentration continue in its pursuit as long as that intensification can be maintained. Gradually, there is a return to the physical plane through a non-death or complete separation from the physical body. In the last and final stages, there is complete separation from the mental body from all do not know word to use to describe it, from all activity. No goal in mind for attainment will have been made of a unification with God or the universal, all. And this is described as a death-like state in which knowledge is no longer necessary, and this highest or final state can in truth sever the spirit from the physical body, and in cases of no word to describe the mastery obtained at this level, the dead can rise, as did Lazarus that he found.
Thank you. We have no more further questions at this time. We ask now that you prepare to return to the conscious state, that you take several deep breaths to replenish the oxygen supply in your physical body if it is necessary, and that you then return to the conscious state following the usual procedure, including returning the circulation to normal in your physical body and the other physical functions returned to normal. As soon as you're ready, please return to the conscious state.